Hi, everyone. It's Pastor Andy again. I'm excited to read to you another story. Today, we have my favorite story. It's a book called Hermie the Common Caterpillar, and it's about a caterpillar who wonders what God's plan is for his life. Hermie a Common Caterpillar by Max Lucado. Wow, said Hermie the caterpillar as he looked at the tree above him. A beautiful butterfly was resting on a small branch. His brightly colored wings were covered with dazzling white spots. Hermie gasped and whispered to himself, "He's about to fly." And with the lift of his wings, the butterfly was in the air, circling softly in the summer sky. Oh, how I would love to fly like that, Hermie wished. He watched until the butterfly was a speck in the sky. Then Hermie sighed and turned away. Now, as a rule, caterpillars are not very exciting, but Hermie was even more ordinary than most. Some caterpillars have spots. Not Hermie. Some caterpillars have stripes. Not Hermie. He had nothing but smooth green skin, some freckles, and a bunch of feet. Hermie was a common caterpillar. He ate common leaves, squirmed through common grass, did common stuff. Hermie was a common caterpillar. Hermie did one thing, however, that was not common. He talked to God. He talked to God about all sorts of things, and God talked to Hermie. Of course, he really didn't hear God speak out loud. God spoke in Hermie's heart. Late at night, when the other caterpillars were asleep, Hermie would crawl out of his bed and stare up at the sky. Then he would talk to God. God, why did you make me so common? Other caterpillars have stripes. Some have spots. I even saw one with spots and stripes. But me, I don't have anything. I'm just Hermie. And I'm just Wormy, said a nearby voice. Hermie turned and saw a caterpillar that looked very much like him. No spots, no stripes. Another common caterpillar with freckles, his friend Wormy. Once Hermie had told the other caterpillars that he talked to God, and they had laughed. But not Wormy. He understood. That's how they became friends. Wormy talked to God too. When Hermie and Wormy felt common, God would say, "Don't worry, I love you both just the way you are, but I'm not finished with you yet." And so they would feel better for a while, but then something else would happen, and they would feel common again, like the day they met an ant named Antonio. Antonio was smaller than either of them, but on his shoulder was a big pine cone. They were amazed at the strength of the ant. "My," said Wormy, "how do you carry such a big load?" "It's how God made me. He made me strong," Antonio answered, and off marched the tiny ant with the big load. That night, Hermie and Wormy asked God, "Why can't we be strong like the ant? We could never do what he could. Why did you make us so common?" God's answer was the same as always. "Don't worry, Hermie and Wormy. I'm not finished with you yet." And they felt better, at least until they saw a snail. One afternoon, the sky opened up and the rain soaked the ground. The two friends hurried as fast as they could to try to find a dry place. Suddenly, they heard a low, scratchy voice. "Looks like you're in a hurry." Hermie and Wormy stopped. They looked all around but saw no one. "Did you hear something?" Hermie asked. "I did," Wormy replied. That's when Hermie saw a snail peeking out of his shell. "Greetings," said the snail. "Looks like you're trying to get out of the rain." "We sure are," Hermie answered. "We're getting soaked." "You need a house like I have," said the snail. "That's your house?" Wormy asked. It sure is. Watch. And with that, the snail pulled his head into his shell. See, it's nice and dry in here. I take my house with me wherever I go, his voice echoed. The two friends were sad. They wondered why God hadn't given them a cozy house like the snails. Later that night, Hermie and Wormy asked God why he gave the snails such a wonderful house but gave them nothing at all. Why do we have to be so common? They wanted to know. Again, God's answer was always kind and patient. Don't worry, I love you both, and I'm not finished with you yet. So they felt better, and for a long time, just thinking about how much God loved them made Hermie and Wormy feel special and not so common until one day they saw a ladybug named Lucy. Oh, what beautiful black spots she had. Neither of the caterpillars had ever seen such spots. They were perfect, black, shiny circles. You have such pretty spots, Hermie exclaimed. So black and shiny, Wormy agreed. Oh, thank you, Lucy answered softly. Then the ladybug blushed because she was very shy. I mean it, Wormy said. We have never seen anyone with such beautiful spots. You are very kind, she replied, but I had nothing to do with it. This is the way God made me. Hermie and Wormy wanted to be grateful for the gift God had given the ladybug, but it was hard. Both of them felt so common. That night, underneath the bright stars, Hermie prayed, God, we know you are good and wise. We know you love us just the way we are, but we don't understand why you made us like this. We're so very common, God said. Yes, common, both caterpillars answered. Remember, God told them, I love you just the way you are, but I'm not finished with you yet. Hermie sighed. He wanted to feel better. He tried to feel better. Usually he did feel better, but that night he still felt sad. He also felt tired, more tired than usual. Wormy, he told his friend, I'm so sleepy. I feel like I need to sleep a long time. Then let's make you a comfy bed. Once Hermie found the right leaf, he hung down and closed his eyes. There, Wormy said to his friend, have a good long rest. I'll be waiting for you when you wake up. Hermie thanked his friend. Then he prayed to God and said, You know, God, it's okay that I'm just a common caterpillar. You love me, and that makes me special. Then Hermie lifted off to sleep. As he slept, he dreamed. He dreamed that he was different, that he had the strength of an ant. He had a house like the snail. He had spots like the ladybug. He dreamed that he was no longer a common caterpillar, but something special instead. After what seemed like a long time, he woke up. Everything around him was dark. Hermie was covered from his head to his toes. What had happened to his comfy bed? He wiggled and squirmed to get out, and when he did, he and his bed began to fall. Suddenly his bed cracked open and Hermie felt a tickle on his back. Something wonderful happened. Wings fluttered open, wings he didn't even know he had. They were wonderful, wide, colorful wings with beautiful spots, and they were his. Hermie stretched out his wings, and then he was flying up and up, higher and higher. That's when Hermie realized what God had done. Now he understood. God had made Hermie special, inside and out. He wasn't like the ant, or the snail, or the ladybug. He was special, one of a kind, no one else exactly like him. He was Hermie, a beautiful butterfly with a beautiful heart. He soared through the air, to the right and to the left. Then he thought of his friend Wormy. From the air, Hermie looked down at his broken bed. Nearby were the ant, the snail, and the ladybug. They were all talking to Wormy. "Wormy!" Hermie called. Wormy heard his friend's voice. "Hermie, where are you?" he called. "I'm up here." Wormy looked up and saw a beautiful butterfly. "Hermie, is that really you?" "Yes, it's really me." "Wow," said the ant, "you look so different." "Goodness," gasped the snail, "you are so big." "Oh my," admired the ladybug, "you are the most beautiful butterfly I have ever seen." "God was not finished with me after all," Hermie said. Then he flew down and stopped right next to Wormy. He gave a big butterfly grin and whispered, "Wormy, God loves you just the way you are. But guess what? God is not finished with you either, my friend." "You don't think so?" "I know he's not." "You know, you may be right. I'm starting to feel pretty sleepy too," Wormy said. Then he yawned a big yawn, and Hermie smiled a big smile. The end. So this is a wonderful book that teaches us an important story, that it doesn't matter who you are special, and God has a plan for you. So if sometimes you don't understand why things are the way they are, or why you are the way you are, remember, God loves you, you are special, and God isn't finished with you yet. Well, it was so great being able to read this story to you all. I'm looking forward to reading another story to you next week, and I hope to talk to you all soon. Have a great day.